Welcome back to the Horror Academic, and today I'm going to wrap up my look at 90s black horror. All things that I learned about reading Horror Noire, watching the documentary Horror Noire, doing my own look in exploring the world of black women in horror for projects that I've been working on. So there was a group of movies that I wanted to watch, and last month I looked at a batch from the 70s, and this month I've been looking at ones from the 90s. So the last movie I had on my list that I kind of had as the must-sees from that research was one that struck me as an odd choice. It was Eve's Bayou. Now, Eve's Bayou, I say it's an odd choice because I was aware of the film, but I had always thought of it as a drama, or even maybe possibly a thriller, but nothing about the images of it, say from the poster art or the box, the DVD, or the trailers and commercials, made me think horror. So I was really surprised that it kept coming up as an important black horror film from the 90s. So kind of saved it for last because I didn't know what to expect. And what I got was a movie that I don't know if I still qualify as a horror film. It's definitely a film that acknowledges that there is magic in the world. There is supernatural things that cannot be easily explained. That voodoo is very much a part of reality in this story. And I'm not sure if that makes it a horror film. There's I still think it is more of a drama. Um, Not to say I didn't enjoy the film, and not to say that it wasn't a great movie, but I was a little maybe less taken by the concept that it was a horror film in the end. Eve's Bayou is essentially the story of a young girl, a 10-year-old girl, and her siblings growing up in Louisiana. I believe this is the late 60s. Um, and we see through her eyes her family and the fact that her father, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is not a great father and husband, although he is looked upon as an important figure in her community because he's a doctor. And it's this relationship of an understanding life around her at that age. And this is very influenced by the fact that she has the power of seeing, the power of sight, that gives her premonitions and gives her the ability sometimes to be able to read a person's thoughts or memories. And this is a passed down trait that you see her aunt is very powerful in this, and will help for a small fee members of the community, and that they have an odd relationship with a woman in town who's kind of seen as like a voodoo. I wouldn't go so far as say priestess, as maybe voodoo practitioner, that will do fortune tellings and things like that. And how Eve's beliefs and interest in voodoo, she feels leads to her father's death. And you know this from the very opening scene, that this is the summer that her father dies. So it was a very winding story where you really get to know these characters. They're, it feels very natural. It feels close to life at that time. But again, I'm not sure if because it is a world where voodoo exists. Not to say that voodoo doesn't exist. I'm saying it's part of the fabric of the story. Is that voodoo is an important part of her life. I'm not sure if that makes it a horror story. Yes, there's a death in the film. Yes, there's supernatural things that happen. But there are other films that I feel also, it's probably a lame example, but the film that comes to mind is Practical Magic. Now, that's a film that features women who delve in witchcraft in a more Wicca nature, and people die, magic happens, but I don't consider it a horror film. So this is a far more dramatic piece, and the caliber of acting is very different, and it's very well done and beautifully shot. And it, I'm not saying it equates to Practical Magic, which is a fun movie that I enjoy, but both of them deal in different ways with magic being part of reality, and these are two ways that it exists in the real world, but I don't think they make them horror films. Um, there is an aspect of it that you could say almost as a thriller, because you know he's going to die, and it's the story of how he dies. Um, More of a mystery than a thriller, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take away from the fact that it was a strong cast of strong female characters, um, strong female black characters, and therefore I can see its importance in that sense. And it does have some of the traits of horror, where yes, you have a woman who, the idea of the the black woman who is the sage, who is the the, uh, the person who can see, the person who enlightens others. Um, and it does that very well. I enjoyed the way that they were able to tell this story, without othering voodoo too much. It's not drastically outside of their realm. But all of that, I mean, I thought it was a really beautiful story. I was surprised by how much I was kind of engrossed in it, considering I didn't know what to expect, I guess is the way to put it. And yeah, I expected it to be more of a drama, possibly love story, maybe mystery thriller. And it is all those things and more, which was nice. It was a very well-rounded film. Like I said, it's a very solid cast. I don't even want to try and list all the women in the cast because it's so massive, but I will point out the little girl in the film, who's 10 years old at the time, is played by Journey Smollett. And of course, I'm like, I know the name. This little girl looks familiar, but I can't place why. And it's, I was really happy to see that when I looked her up. Of course, she did, because, she was in True Blood, but also she was in Birds of Prey as Black Canary. And if you haven't seen Birds of Prey, and if you are a fan of comic book films, I highly recommend it. I thoroughly enjoyed that film for so many reasons, but it was great to see kind of who the actress became, for this being like a child, and then to see her later and be like, oh, that's the same person. What a cool journey she had. And yeah, and I mean, like I said, she's a True Blood actress, so that was a cool tie-in for me as well. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I think, yeah, again, lots of strong female black characters that I thought was ensemble in that way, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And while I can't say I agree that it's a horror film, I could say it was a very good film that did feature voodoo and supernatural life, and I appreciate that. And yeah, if you're in for more of a drama than your typical horror fare, I would recommend this film. All right, see you next time.